So I'm reading this article online, and it's talking about how they have followed the Biggest Loser contestants after the contest. And 14 out of 15 of the ones that they followed gained the weight back. Most, if not all, and some even more. And the other thing that article talked about was that their metabolisms slowed down like crazy when they lost all that weight. And when they gained the weight back, their metabolisms were still slower than what it should have been. So before they went into the Biggest Loser contest, their metabolisms were about what would be expected for somebody that weighed as much as they did. But then when they came out, their metabolism, of course, was reduced, but then they gained the weight back, except the metabolism stayed reduced, which just really sucks. One of the contestants, after hearing that news, said it was like hearing that he got a life sentence. And I don't blame him for feeling that way. And the article went on to talk about how the metabolism is broken and how losing all the weight that fast broke it, and now they're just broken people. But that's just the first part of it. So what the writer of that article and the people behind that article don't understand is, yes, it's broken for now because it's all about the set point. The reason that the metabolism went down and now they're burning 500 less calories per day than before, even after they gain their weight back, is because their set point has a lag effect. So when somebody loses weight really fast, their body remembers when they were bigger and heavier, and that memory is called a set point. So the body wants to get back to that level because it was there long enough to create homeostasis, and the body's designed for homeostasis. So when it locks into that spot, it wants to stay there. That's a set point, whatever the body's used to. Now, what the writers of that article don't realize is there can be a new set point created. Now, it's really hard to create a new set point when you're dieting. So the people that lost all that weight dieted to get there, and they worked out like ridiculous amounts every day. It's just not sustainable. None of that is sustainable. And so of course they're going to gain the weight back when they go back home. But here's the thing. When they go back home and they keep dieting and restricting calories and food intake, the body thinks that, oh my gosh, we're still in this famine, this starvation mode. And so it remembers that set point, the previous set point, more clearly. But if those people went home and ate high fat, high calorie, but low sugar, low starch, the body would be getting all the calories it needs. It would think it's back to where it was before in the previous set point. But because the calories are different and the macronutrient ratios have changed, they're going to stay lean. So the worst thing they could do is to go home and diet. The best thing they could do is to go home and crank on their fat intake. Eat tons of fat, eat zero sugar, low starch to no starch, crank up the green vegetables, eat the high metabolic foods, and fix their metabolism that way. And what I'm talking about here is becoming fat adapted. So if those people went home and became fat adapted, then they would be able to keep the weight off. Their body would forget the previous set point because it would be happy with the new routine, and it would create a new set point, and it would be permanent instead of yo-yo back up. This isn't just Biggest Loser contestants. This is anybody else that goes on a restrictive diet or weight loss strategy. My plan for people is not to lose the weight fast and go on a restrictive diet. It's just to go straight to the fat adapted process. To become fat adapted, the weight comes off slower. So you're not losing 30 pounds in a week. You're losing a couple pounds in a week because you're getting healthier, because the body wants to eat that way anyways. It was designed to eat that way to become fat adapted. And so it just reaches optimal health on its own. And when it has reached optimal health, it doesn't have extra body fat on it, because an optimal healthy person doesn't carry around weight they don't need. The body has on it what it needs. And those people are always lean. It's a range. Everybody's different. So not everybody's going to be a six-pack when they're optimal healthy. But a lot of people are. And those that aren't still aren't going to be overweight. So I just feel horrible for these people when they go home and they continue dieting, and then they find out their metabolism is decreased and they think they're broken, and then they have this mental attitude that, oh, my body's broken, there's nothing I can do, I just have to eat spinach for the rest of my life. Well, that's just not the case. They can eat as much as they want. High calorie, high fat, medium protein, low starch, no sugar. That's it. Now, for people that want to take it to the next level, not just keep the weight off, but to also get radically healthier, then they would want to eat how I just described, but make sure everything is organic. Their protein sources, if they're animal protein sources, are grass-fed or wild, and their vegetables are organic. Everything is non-GMO, and they're getting all the fiber they need and the right kinds of fat. And I know this all sounds completely backwards, because it's intuitive to think that to be lean and not be fat, to not eat fat, but it's actually opposite of that. So the government's been telling us the opposite, and it's give us their stupid little food pyramid with the tiny little fat piece on the very top where we should not eat much of it. But if you think of the food pyramid as the top is the best, then the government's food pyramid is fantastic, because fat is the best. That's what we should be eating most of. My diet is 70% fat by calories every day. And the bottom in the government's food pyramid is grains. And that should be least or nil. I eat 0 grains. There are no grains in my life whatsoever. And I'm fat adapted. So I'm giving my body fat for fuel. It's the main calorie source. And so my body has learned that's what it needs to burn for energy, for maintenance, for workouts, for everything, even when I'm sleeping. This is what it burns. And when I'm not eating enough of it, like if I go 3 or 4 hours between meals, then the body says, well, we're still a fat burner, so we're just going to burn body fat. And even when I'm eating fat, it's still a combination of the fat that I'm eating and the body fat on my body. So that's why I can stay so lean, eating 4,000 calories a day. Is this too hard to believe? Maybe. But ask yourself, well, how's it working for me when I'm doing? If you're thinner than me or as lean as me, and you're not working at your diet and you're not doing what I'm saying, then you've probably found what's something even better or just as good for you. Just keep doing it. But if you're doing something that isn't working for you, or it's restrictive and you hate it, or it's just too much work, then try what I'm suggesting. Look up fat adapted, Google it, research it, find out how to do it, and try it at least 3 months. You have to be diligent with this for at least 3 months to find out if it's actually going to work for you or not. And when you mess up and fall off the wagon and fall off the program, then your 3 months starts over. So start it from that day. Forgive yourself, put it behind you, and say, okay, day number 1, 3 months. Even if you're 2 3/4 months into it and you screw up, start over. Day number 1, 3 months. And at the end of 3 months of diligently doing this every day, and it's still not working, throw it aside, try something else. But give it 3 months. It's certainly not going to make you fatter, and it's certainly not going to make you more unhealthy. So you can only win by trying this method, but give it a shot. Become fat adapted. It's actually how we were created to be and how we were designed to eat. It's only been in the last 50, 60 years that we've gone crazy with our sugar and high fructose corn syrup and refined carbs and bakery items and all that kind of stuff. And we're getting really, really fat every year, especially since Mr. Genius Ansel Keys recommended that we all go low fat. We've really gotten fatter since then. It's exploded like a pandemic. We got obesity everywhere now. And most of those people are either doing restrictive diets or trying to eat low fat. Well, how's that working for them? It's not. So how about the opposite? Let's try the opposite of what's not working for us. Let's try eating to our heart's content, never hungry, just chowing down all day, and high fat. So why not give it a try? What have you got to lose? Actually, weight. So that's a good thing. Give it a shot.